me a favour? Can you check the S2I YouTube channel, check if it's live, and check if you can hear the sound? Yeah. And if there's no sound, just check all we got. It should be, hopefully be working. The S2I sequence. Just check, it should be live.
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ। ਇੱਕ ਓੰਕਾਰ ਸਤਿਨਾਮ ਕਰਤਾ ਪੁਰਖ ਨਿਰਭਉ ਨਿਰਵੈਰ ਅਕਾਲ ਮੂਰਤ ਅਜੂਨੀ ਸੈਭੰ ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦ ਜਪ ਆਦਿ ਸਚ ਜੁਗਾਦਿ ਸਚ ਹੈ ਵੀ ਸਚ ਨਾਨਕ ਹੋਸੀ ਵੀ ਸਚ। ਸਲੋਕ ਡੰਡੌਤ ਬੰਧਨ ਅਨਕ ਬਾਰ ਸਰਬ ਕਲਾ ਸਮਰੱਥ ਡੋਲਣ ਤੇ ਰਾਖੋ ਪ੍ਰਭੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਦੇ ਕਰ ਹੱਥ। ਡੋਲਣ ਤੇ ਰਾਖੋ ਪ੍ਰਭੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਦੇ ਕਰ ਹੱਥ। ਤਿਲਕ ਜੰਝੂ ਰਾਖਾ ਪ੍ਰਭ ਤਾਕਾ ਕੀਨੋ ਵੱਡੋ ਕਲੂ ਮੈਂ ਸਾਕਾ। ਸਾਧਨ ਹੇਤ ਇਤੀ ਜਿਨ ਕਰੀ ਸੀਸ ਦੀਆ ਪਰ ਸੀ ਨਾ ਉਚਰੀ। ਧਰਮ ਹੇਤ ਸਾਕਾ ਜਿਨ ਕੀਆ ਸੀਸ ਦੀਆ ਪਰ ਸਿਰ ਨ ਦੀਆ। ਨਾਟਕ ਚੇਟਕ ਕੀਏ ਕੋ ਕਾਜਾ ਪ੍ਰਭ ਲੋਗਨ ਕਹੈ ਆਵਤ ਲਾਜਾ। ਮੂਖ ਉਚਰੈ ਸ਼ਾਸਤਰ ਖਟ ਪਿੰਗ ਗਿਰਨ ਚੜ ਜਾਏ। ਅੰਧ ਲਖੈ ਬਦਰੋ ਸੁਣੈ ਜੋ ਕਾਲ ਕਿਰਪਾ ਕਰਾਏ। ਕਹਾ ਬੁੱਧ ਪ੍ਰਭ ਤੁਛ ਹਮਾਰੀ ਬਰਨ ਸਕੈ ਮਹਿਮਾ ਜੋ ਤਿਹਾਰੀ। ਹਮ ਨਾ ਸਕਤ ਕਰ ਸਿਫਤ ਤੁਮਾਰੀ ਆਪ ਲਿਹੋ ਤੁਮ ਕਥਾ ਸੁਧਾਰੀ। ਠੀਕਰ ਫੋਰ ਦਲੀਸ ਸਿਰ ਪ੍ਰਭ ਪੁਰ ਕੀਆ ਭਿਆਨ। ਤੇਗ ਬਹਾਦਰ ਸੀ ਕਿਰਿਆ ਕਰਹੀ ਨ ਕਿਨਹੂ ਆਨ। ਤੇਗ ਬਹਾਦਰ ਕੇ ਚਲਤ ਭਇਓ ਜਗਤ ਕੋ ਸੋਕ। ਹੈ ਸਭ ਜਗ ਭਇਓ ਜੈ 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 ਸੁਰਲੋਕ। ਬਾਣੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਗੁਰੂ ਹੈ ਬਾਣੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਬਾਣੀ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤ ਸਾਰੇ। ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਕਹੈ ਸੇਵਕ ਜਨ ਮਾਨੈ ਪ੍ਰਤੱਖ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਿਸਤਾਰੇ। ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਕਹੈ ਸੇਵਕ ਜਨ ਮਾਨੈ ਪ੍ਰਤੱਖ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਿਸਤਾਰੇ।
ਸਤਨਾਮ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀ। ਗੌੜੀ ਮਹੱਲਾ ਨਾਵਾ।
ਸਰਨ ਬਿਸਰਾਮਾ ਵੇਦ ਪੁਰਾਨ ਪਰੇ ਕੋ ਇਹ ਗੁਣ ਸਮਰੇ ਸਿਮਰੇ ਹਰ ਕੋ ਨਾਮਾ ਸਾਧੋ ਰਾਮ ਸਰਨ ਬਿਸਰਾਮਾ ਵੇਦ ਪੁਰਾਨ ਪੜੇ ਕੋ ਇਹ ਗੁਣ ਸਿਮਰੇ ਹਰ ਕੋ ਨਾਮਾ ਰਹਾਉ ਲੋਭ ਮੋਹ ਮਾਇਆ ਮਮਤਾ ਪੁਨ ਔ ਬਿਖਿਅਨ ਕੀ ਸੇਵਾ ਹਰਖ ਸੋਗ ਪਰਸੈ ਜਿਹ ਨਾਹਨ ਸੋ ਮੂਰਤ ਹੈ ਦੇਵਾ ਸੁਰਗ ਨਰਕ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤ ਬਿਖ ਏ ਸਭ ਤਿਉ ਕੰਚਨ ਆਰ ਪੈਸਾ ਉਸਤਤ ਨਿੰਦਾ ਇਹ ਸਮਝਾ ਕੈ ਲੋਭ ਮੋਹ ਫੁਨ ਤੈਸਾ ਦੁਖ ਸੁਖ ਇਹ ਬਾਦੇ ਜਿਹ ਨਾਹਿਨ ਤਹਿ ਤੁਮ ਜਾਨੋ ਗਿਆਨੀ ਨਾਨਕ ਮੁਕਤ ਤਾਹੇ ਤੁਮ ਮਾਨੋ ਇਹ ਬਿਦ ਜੋ ਕੋ ਪ੍ਰਾਨੀ ਸਾਧੋ ਰਾਮ ਸਰਨ ਬਿਸਰਾਮਾ।
ਧੰਨ ਧੰਨ ਸਤਿਗੁਰੂ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀ ਦੀ ਸਾਜੀ ਨਿਵਾਜੀ Guru Khalsa Sadh Sangat Jio, sitting in the society of saints, in the presence of Akal Purkh Vaheguru, the form of the 10 Gurus, Dhan Satguru Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj, Leicester Guru Sahib Fateh, Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. So we're very fortunate to be spending time on a weekly basis, reflecting on Dhan Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj's teachings. The teachings, if we abide by them and we reflect, we listen, we reflect, we transform ourselves and the way we live, then Guru Sahib gives us blessings, ultimate blessings. The highest and the most prime form of blessing is to unite with Vaheguru, to merge back into the very Paramatma that we've been separated from. So in the last few weeks, we've been talking about Dhan Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj have been telling us or teaching us the 9 shabd, the 9 utterances that Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj made on the time when they were given the Gurta Gaddi, when they were made Pargat, when they were manifested with the help, with the aid of Bhai Makhan Shah Labana and his faith, that the Atme Padshah Ji's blessings, that Baba Basai Bal, Baba Basai Gram Bakale, that blessing that the next Guru is residing at the moment in Baba Bakala. We know, we understand that many false people gathered there at that place, pretending to be the next Guru of the Sikhs. And they were very, very convincing as well. But the blessings of Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj in the 9th form of Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj were made Pargat by Makhan Shah Labana. This Gursikh, who was a merchant, and his ship had been saved. He had developed a lot of materialistic profit and brought it and promised it to the Guru on the Gaddi of Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj. And when he came to Baba Bakala, he sees there's so many different types of false people sitting there. So he tests, he does a das after reciting Japji Sahib and Sukhni Sahib in the morning, Amrita Vela. He does an ardas to Vaheguru ke, let me find the true Guru. And at that time, when Guru Sahib, Vaheguru blessed him with the thought, with the furna, that he should place 2 gold coins in front of all the false people. And only the real true Guru will know that there was 500 gold coins and be able to prove that they're the ones who supported Makhan Shah when his ship was in difficulty, when his kirt, when his work, when he was suffering some sort of stress or anxiety because of his occupation. So, Guru Sahib's teachings, we are on the 7th 6th and 7th, the 7th and 8th Shabd of Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj's opening instructions to the Sangat. So these 9 Shabds in their collective were recited in front of the Sangat when Guruji Maharaj gave blessings to the Sikh Sangat and guided them to true spirituality. As the true Guru spoke, obviously at that time, what was going on, we will discuss, we will move historically forward as well as taking in the teachings of Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj as well. So these lessons are very important because when we come into the Sangat of Guru Sahib and we listen to Kirtan and we listen to Katha, by listening to Kirtan, the examples that are being given of listening to Kirtan are that it's like sitting in a hurricane. The hurricane, the storm, washes away all the gandagi from the area and the neighborhood, pulls it to the drains and basically leaves something cleaner than it was. And Kirtan has that effect. So when you listen to Kirtan, when you're singing, when you hear people singing, it's like washing the mail off us. The mail, the dirt. And that mail, it can be described in many ways. It can be described in feeling lazy, feeling sleeping, feeling tired, feeling demotivated, not feeling like you want to really be in the sanctuary of Vaheguru. It can come in many, many different types of forms, that mail, that dirt on our soul. Sometimes it's just not understanding. And this is the reason why we're doing Katha in English. It's not because we should be doing Katha in English, we should be doing it in Punjabi really. But to make that connection with the Guru Sahib and ease ourselves and make it easier for us, we do so in English. But at this Guru Kar, you know there's Ladhiwar Katha going on in Punjabi. We should be trying to listen to this. We should be eradicating the mail daily. That's what Maharaj's hukum is to us to do. That we should be erasing that mail daily. But on a weekly basis, Guru Sahib has blessed us this opportunity that we can make it a bit more closer to home, because we're obviously born in this country, communicate in English a lot of the time. So it's just easier. It doesn't mean that we should forget to learn Gurmukhi or learn Santhya and build that connection with our Guru. Those activities are available at this Guru Kar as well, and we should spend time doing those. So Gaudi Mahalla Nava, Tan Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj, what reflections, what teachings are they giving us? They're telling us that we should also listen to the narrative. So the Katha, the praises, the spoken praise. One is sung praise. That's like the hurricane water. And then the spoken Anand is like, imagine being drenched in flood water. So imagine being where there's water and you're like in that constant pool. So like if you look in India, there's paddy fields that grow, like rice that grows in fields. It nourishes the crop and makes it grow. It gives the nutrients to it. So similarly, when we are doused in the jal of Katha, we also grow. We also understand and move forward. We develop ourselves. So the aim of even the Akhri Arth, the word Arth of Katha, if you split it in two, Kaka stands for Sukh or comforts, and the Tha stands for place. So when you listen to Katha, you are taken to a place of Sukh and comfort. So Guru Sahib, in today's reflections, let's focus our minds, listen and think. We are being developed by Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj, the 9th Guru Nanak Dev Ji, in their blessed home, Guru Nanak Gurdwara, every Sunday. Let's take in the teachings of what Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj have got to teach us today.
Satnam Sri Vaheguru Sahib Ji, Gaudi Mahalla Nava.
Dhan Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj blesses in Gauri Rag, the 7th Shabd.
Sadhu Ram Sarna Bisrama.
So Guru Sahib, Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj are talking about Bisram. Jad apan Bisram karde hain, when we are taking Bisram, we are resting, we are recuperating, we are taking the time to just stop and think and reflect. In this context, it's just saying about stopping everything else that's around you and just focusing on the Guru's teachings. So to get our mindset really focused in this Katha, the way we've got to think of it, just stop any other thoughts in our minds and just focus on Guruji's presence. Like be mindful of here rather than what's happened a few hours back, what's going to happen in a few hours later. Sadho Ram Sarana Bisarama. Maharaj says the true and the true pause is when you are paused in the presence of Vaheguru. The true mindfulness, the truly being mindful, is when you are reflecting on Vaheguru, when you are reciting Simran, when you're remembering Vaheguru, and there's no other distraction. That's the true Bisram. Bisram, it's we can pause when we teach in Santhya, you in each middle of every line in Gurbani, there's the natural pause that occurs. So in this context, Sadho, Ram Nam Bisrama. The Bisram of that line comes after Sadho. Sadho means saints. So listen, Sare, we're all saints in the eyes of Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj. We know we're not, but Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj, Guru Sahib always say, you are Sadh Sangat, you are the saints. Sadho, listen. So they're saying attentively, be attentive. Ram Sarana Bisrama. They're saying that Parmeshwar Vaheguru, who is in every single molecule in front of us, Ramya Hoya Ram. It's not talking about Sri Ramchandra Ji from Ramayan. It's not talking about them in this context. It's talking about Ram that is Ramya Hoya, is present in every molecule around us. So what we say omnipresent, they are everywhere at all times, at all places. Sadho Ram Saran Bisrama. The true reflection and the true pause is when we reflect, we take time out and we reflect on Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj or Guru Sahib or Vaheguru. So that time when we spend doing Japji Sahib aloud to ourselves, that time when we say Vaheguru, Vaheguru to ourselves and no other thoughts are coming in our minds, and when we're doing Mool Mantar, when we're actually listening to the prayer that we are reciting, that is actually the first form of Simran. The first stage of Simran is reciting to yourself so you can hear it aloud. So that you and sometimes the trick is your mind will start wandering. It'll start going. When you're sitting down, your thoughts will going elsewhere. They'll start going this way, that way, duties, whatever your responsibilities are. Even the most absurd thoughts will come into your mind when you try to find that bisram, when you're trying to find that pause. But Guru Sahib Maharaj says, focus on Ram Saran there. To bring it close, you have to raise your voice so that you're only thinking of the Shabd and you're only reciting the Shabd. And they say that is the true Bisram in this world. That is the true reflection and pause, the true sanctuary in this world.
Ved Puran Pade ko eh gun Simre har ko nama.
You know, like if you're scholastic, if you're like a scholar or you're a person who reads loads of books, or in this context, if you read a lot of religious books or spiritual type books or personal development books, so Ved Puran Pade ko eh gun. Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj say, and imagine when Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji have got Pargat, we mentioned a few weeks ago that there'll be people of all different denominations there at that time. There were Pandits, there were people who had read other people's religious texts, there were scholars of other faiths. So Ved Puran Pade ko eh gun. Maharaj says, when you're reciting those texts, the tat, the essence of reading, the essence of all that knowledge that you're gathering is only worth if Simre har ko nama. If you come to the conclusion that Vaheguru's name is the greatest. The Vaheguru's praise is the greatest. So in this context, they say Ved. There were 4 Vedas that the Hindu faith used to look for guidance towards. And then Puran, there's 6 different, there's Satai Puran, Satai Simrtiyan, sorry, and there's She Shastar. There's all these 28 Purana, 18 Purans. There's different texts that have got different knowledge in all those texts, different stories, different logic and whatever. But Maharaj says it's only worth reading those texts if at the end of it you realize the essence is that Simre har ko nama, that you actually find and you reflect that Vaheguru is actually behind everything. But some people would read those texts and they would develop hankar, wouldn't they? They would develop ego. They would develop like a sense of duality. There was a Mahapurush called Sant Ishar Singh Ji Daudar. This is an example of how people were scholarly, but they kind of get distracted or divided elsewhere. And in his time when he was doing Bhajan Bandagi, a Pandit comes to visit him. And this Pandit, when he comes to visit him, he sees the Mahapurush sees him coming, and obviously he welcomes him. The Pandit then says, he says something, goes, I have developed loads of knowledge, I've studied the scriptures. So obviously these Pandits would go to their university, which was Banaras or Kanchi, and they would spend like 12 years studying the text. They would spend another 12 years understanding the words, the meanings. Then they would another 12 years to understand the way of Brahmins as such. 36 years. After that 36 years, you were like a qualified as a Pandit. That's what the Vidya was given. Obviously, Guru Sahib knew that that technique is only for certain individuals, isn't it? There's only certain people who can develop that PhD kind of math, isn't it? In this country, you probably spend 7 or 8 years doing that kind of stuff. But Guru Sahib made it easy for everyone. They made it easy. They just like came like a cloud, and they gave Bani to the whole jug, and they didn't differentiate who's low and high. Because in the Hindu faith, you had to be of a Brahmin background. You had to be of a high caste as well. So you were very limited. You had to be a Brahmin. You had to go for 12 years and learn this Vidya knowledge and understanding of just spiritual type things and knowledge. But it was just that. It was nothing further than that. And Guru Sahib wanted to put on everyone, because this message is for the whole universe. So those Pandits are described like taking water from the ground. So in India, if you ever get a chance to see, you might have seen it, your elders will probably know, you have to bore the water out the ground. And by bore the water, what you mean? You have to drill really down, far down. After you drill, you put loads of water into it. Then water comes gushing out with all the gandagi from underneath for days. When all the gandagis come out, all the males come out, then swash water comes out. Then you got to tap it. You got to put the nalka on it, and then after that you've got water coming out, which a normal person can have. How much bifta you have to go through just to get the water out. But Guru Sahib are like the cloud. Guru Sahib are putting the water on everyone. They didn't differentiate on everyone. They gave gyan, spiritual knowledge to everyone. So Maharaj said that in Bani as well. Then they said that जैसे धरती ऊपर मेघला बरसत है, क्या धरती मध्य पानी ना है? Guru Amardas Ji Maharaj say, look, in the earth you got water, haven't you? You put so much effort into the earth trying to take the pani out, the jal out, i.e. getting spiritual knowledge after so much effort and being of its only specific caste, and then you have the cloud that just comes and gives pani to everyone, gives knowledge to everyone just like that. So Maharaj kind of countered these Pandits regularly. But this Hankari Pandit came to this Mahapurush, and they basically said, I've learned to justify duality. It's quite difficult words there. Justify the distraction, basically. So what we call the illusion, Maya. So he learned techniques of how to understand and describe the whole distraction aspect of Sikhi. Well, not Sikhi, but the distraction element of this world. And the Mahapurush just laughed at him. And he said, so you come here to just describe and tell me what duality is. And he said, yeah. He goes, I've spent so many years doing this. Because people develop a hankar of it, don't they? He actually might be right, because you might get people who are doctors and they've developed so much knowledge of their path or whatever they're studying, but then they're so engrossed in that and they forget that there's actually a simpler path. They forget the simplistic aspect of it as well, which is explained by the Sakhi. A fisherman was walking by at that time, and he was from a Garib household. He was a very poor person. Mashkisi. A mashki is someone who gives water and they just give it to the Sangha to drink. You know, when people are thirsty in the hot weather. Mashkisi ekka. And the Mahapurush called up to the Mashki, so Mashki adra. Obviously the Pandit's still sitting there. And the Mashki comes, and the Mahapurush said to him, he said, tell me about your life to this fisherman. And obviously this fisherman just put his hand together and he goes, Meri jindagi ki hai Mahapurush? He goes, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਤਾਂ ਭਜਨ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ ਸਿਮਰਨ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ ਯਾਦ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ ਪਰਮੇਸ਼ਰ ਨੂੰ। He goes, ਸਾਡੇ ਸਮਾਂ ਕਿਹੜਾ ਹੈ ਯਾਦ ਕਰਨ ਨੂੰ ਪਰਮੇਸ਼ਰ। He goes, we don't have no time to remember ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ। ਆਪਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਨੀਚ ਬੰਦੇ ਆ। He goes, we just spend all our day working। ਸਾਰੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਸਵਾਸ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਆ, all our breath goes away wasted, right? We don't spend any time remembering God। That's my occupation, and on top of that I'm poor as well। I don't really have anything। ਮੇਰੀ life ਤਾਂ wasteful ਆ। I've got nothing else। I'm distracted by my family and their needs। I don't have anything else। And the Mahapurush just started laughing. And he said to the Pandit, he goes, you spent all that time reading all these texts, all these shastras and all these simritis, and you have said that you've understood and justified what duality is. He goes, this guy, he's poor, he's never even read a Granth before in his life, and he's just described duality in 1 second. And he goes, if you're going to describe something, describe non-duality। This is what the Mahapurush said to the Pandit. If you're going to describe anything, describe spiritually what Parmeshwar is and how you should spend doing Vaheguru। I use your knowledge not to justify the illusion, but to justify how to get out of it. So the non-duality aspect of it. And this is what Guru Sahib, Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj are doing, aren't they? They explain to us how to get out that duality very simply. Very, very simply. And they're saying to this, in this context, Ved Paran Pade Kohe Gun, it's a quality to have learnt these texts and these grants and the knowledge you've accumulated from it. However, if they aren't teaching you the essence, which is Simre Har Ko Naam, that's what the essence is. So Maharaj is pausing here. So Maharaj is reflecting here and saying that's what reflection we've got to do. So whatever we're reading at the moment in our lives, think about it. If you're not developing an essence out of it like that, I've got to do bhajan bandagi, then it's not really worth it, is it? Think about it. And if you're reading Gurbani, there's no issue with that. If you're spending time doing Santhya, if you're reading about the Has and Simran and stuff, there's no issue with it because you're developing a link to your Guru. Gurbani is reading Gurbani is the highest form of praise. We mentioned that last week as well. So when we read Gurbani and understand it, we learn how to read it through Santhya and people, and we're reciting it over and over again. There's no shame in that. It's the same form of saying Vaheguru. It's the same as saying Sukhmani Sahib. It's the same as Japji Sahib. Sara ikko hi swaroop ya. Vaheguru, Gur mantar hai, jap home khoi. You recite Vaheguru to take the ego out of yourself. Mool mantar jad padde hain. Mool mantar is the root mantar, the root repetition that the Panj Pyare give you in the company of Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj. And what did they make the Amrit with? They make the Amrit with Gurbani, don't they? O sara ikko hi swaroop ya. So it's all one format. And we should spend our time focusing on that more than anything. If we've done 1 hour, build it to 2 hours a day. If we're doing 2 hours, 2.5 hours, 2.5 ਘੰਟੇ ਤਾਂ ਹੋਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ at least. Out of our day, 10% of our day, out our 24,000 swas that we have 24,000 breaths in a day on average. So 10% ਕੱਢ ਲਓ, take 2.5 hours out and devote that to Akal Purv Vaheguru in our time, doing our Nitnem, doing our bhajan. And when we start doing that, you'll start seeing the effect. Oh, Maharaj will bless us with the effect of it.
Lobha moh maya mamata hona, o bikhiyan ki seva.
Nahi ta, let's just focus. Nahi ta, otherwise, you're just going to be in this situation. We'll be in this situation. Lobha moh, lalach. Kayan lalach hunda paise da, someone's got lalach of, their family moving forward and all these kind of materialistic things that will stay here ultimately. Maharaj says, Lobha moh maya mamata phun. Maharaj says this illusion, this attachment that Maharaj has been explaining to us for the last few weeks, that is something that's wasting our life away. Oh, bikyan ki seva. And actually, by giving time to lust, by letting our eyes see those things that we're not supposed to see, by spending physical time with our partners, when we're doing that without any really control or toleration, not doing it in sanjam, for example, then what Maharaj says is you're actually giving time to the corrupt senses, aren't you? You're giving time to these bhikhe, these vishe, these corrupt passions. And you're not actually focusing on what the reality of Akal Purv Vaheguru is. So Maharaj says, Apa seva unandi kar rahe hain by giving them time. Maharaj is putting it in that way. So either seva kar rahe hain to give in to corrupt pleasures. You're giving them time. You're doing their seva. You're not doing Parameshwar seva in any way, shape or form.
Harkh sog parsa deh nahan.
But in the midst of this society now today, harkasog, those individuals who give into these kind of pleasures and are distracted by materialism and all these materialistic possessions and so forth, Mara says those people are guaranteed to be either sad or too happy. They are going to develop that reaction from those things. They're going to either think that their happiness is based on those things, based on receiving, and if something's taken away from them, then sadness is based on that. But Maharaj says there's individuals, har kasog, parse je nahan. But those individuals who don't let happiness and sadness get to them, so in the midst of khushi, for example, they do shukrana vahiguru, or in the midst of something being taken away from them, they do ardas to vahiguru and do bhajan and say, Maharaj, have gratitude for the things that you have got. So Maharaj says, So Murat hai Deva. In my eyes, Guru Tegh Bahadur Maharaj says, they are true angelic beings. They are the true people in this world. Just an example of us to understand, because we're talking about Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj, and just to bring the historical aspect into it as well. Last week we heard how Makhan Shah Labana had got so much darshan from Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj. He'd brought them in, illuminated them, brought them into society, didn't they? Even though Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj, their praise is beyond anyone's mouths and the amount of tongues that can praise Vaheguru, they're beyond it all, the limitless praise already. And they were destined to be the Guru anyway. But the cause was that Makhan Shah Labana's faith was put in its right place, and Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj gave presence, gave darshan again back to the Sangat. Obviously at the time, remember there's 22 false people who are Baba Bakala, they are all jealous, aren't they? Their envy grew even more because the Sangat have started lining up in front of Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj rather than their own places where they had in Baba Bakala. And all the Sodhi families, so people who were related in some way, shape or form from Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj, from elder relatives and so forth, so all their relatives, they all got together and they were all discussing that how has Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj become the Guru? How is it that all our worship that was coming to us, all our puja, how come that's all going to them? How come all the accumulated goods, all the stuff that we were proprietors of from the Sangat, is all going now to Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj? They couldn't take it. And because they couldn't take it, their envy grew, their jealousy, what we call irkha in Punjabi, it started to grow. And tends to, when you have like 1 or 2 or 3 people, 4 people who are thinking negative, then you want to kind of automatically meet the most negative of all, or the person who's got the most kind of say in being negative. And obviously that was Tirmal, because he was out of all of them the most impressionable, wasn't he? We mentioned how he had 4 sevadars doing Char Sahib over him. He was sitting on a massive gaddi, he pretended to be the next Guru. He wasn't the next Guru, even though Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj are like his Chacha Ji in relation. So what happens? Tirmal, they all go to Tirmal. All the jealous, envious people go to Tirmal. And they start saying to Tirmal, okay, we need to sort this out. In amongst all those people, there was one unfortunate person called Shihi Masand. And this Masand was a very corrupt individual. He was a very toxic individual. And he was someone who was hell-bent on doing paap. And he went straight to Tirmal and he said, Siddhi Galya, he goes, if this person is saying that they're the true Guru, we need to erase him. Simple. All that stuff that's coming to them, all the money that's being given by the true Sikhs to the true Guru, the so-called true Guru, who they thought was the so-called obviously, that needs to be brought to us. And he filled in the ears of Makhan Shah, and what they did, they filled in the ears of Tirmal, and what they came to was a conclusion, they were going to assassinate Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj. Look at the sochni that they went to. And what they did, they planned it. They put a person who was like doing CID, basically a person who was a spy for them, to become a sevak in Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj's sanctuary, who would report back on times when Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj were not available, and or when the Sangat were by themselves, or when they were sitting alone, or when the Sangat were around them. So all the day-to-day thing that was going on, he was reporting back to Shihi Masand And Shaheed Masand would go to Tegh Bahadur and say, Hun sade ko vela hai, we'll go and sort him out. Tegh Bahadur at that time got a bit scared. And he even thought about Makkan Shah, because remember, Makkan Shah Labana is in his tent, just outside Baba Bakala. He's got 500 men with him. But even the fear came into his mind. However, he got swayed by Shaheed Masand. And what these unfortunate individuals did, they took rifles, and the CID guy, he noticed that Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj, because Maharaj knew what was going to happen. They left all the Sangha, they told all the Sangha to go to the dere, and Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj got up and went on their horse. They went outside the village in a different direction, not towards Makkan Shah Labana, but the other direction, and they went and sat under a tree. They did a bhajan bandagi there by themselves for a bit, and obviously the CID guy, he went and told Tirmal and Shaheed Masand. And what happened, when Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj was coming back, they had nearly 25, 30 men all lined up, like all hiding. And as Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj entered the village, they shot at Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj with their rifles. Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj at that time, look how amazing, you got to think of this. If you listen to the Katha of Sant Jagjit Singh Harkhowal Wale on this in Gur Pratap Surya Prakash Granth, they mention this. They say, because armed people think that 26 years with Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj did bhajan bandagi at Baba Bakala. They stated that they sat for 27 years, 9 months, 9 days, 9 hours, like it's a symbol of completeness, like that concept is, and they did bandagi. So they were filled with so much bhajan bandagi. They were obviously the true Guru. And as Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj come on their horse, when he had the horse hears the bullets, obviously, the horse kind of is rifled a little bit. So it's basically kind of stands up. And Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj controlled the horse, and then as he controls it, Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj put the arms in the air. You might have seen this, you know, when there's an agreement in the Guru's home, like if somebody agrees with someone, they do jakar and they put their hands in the air, don't they? You might have seen it happen before. Even at Sarabat Khalsa, when it happens, if you agree or you're a testimony to something in our faith, in our culture, you put your arms up in the sanctuary of something and you state your opinion, you assert yourself in that way. It said that when the horse controlled himself, Guru Tegh Bahadur put their arms in the air, and these are the words that Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj said, even though they knew that they had been shot at by assailants, Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj are so nirmal. Remember, this is the same Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj who fought in the battles of Guru Hargobind Ji. They killed people with their sword. But they were so full of daya and mercy, their words were, Tir mal ji, Tir mal tir. These are the words. They knew straight away it was Tir mal who had sent these men. They said, Tir mal ji, respected, because they know, even they're the family, they're the son of Baba Gurudetta Ji. They're their nephew, obviously. He said, Tir mal ji, Tir mal tir. Tir mal tir means control yourself. Come back to focus, control yourself. They could have sworn, right? They could have said anything else, but they didn't say anything bitter. They just put their arms like, look, like had ho gaya. Like that was their physical aspect was like almost, come on, what are you doing? You're shooting, like you're trying to kill me. They put their hands up in the air and they said, Tir mal ji, Tir mal tir. And the horse galloped off towards the Pind, back to the Asthan. And Maharaj, it is said, that the Haskar say, kept on saying the same words. Tir mar tir, tir mal tir, tir mal pala, pala hove tir mal tir. They kept saying, pala hove tera, pala hove tera. Like even though they'd done that bad to them. Imagine how we respond to those kind of situations. And it didn't get any better than that. What happened then afterwards? Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj went and rested, and they got up again, obviously. That CID guy was in the sanctuary at that time. He sent a message again to Shaheed Masand, and they told Tirmal that Maharaj is now by themselves. There's no one else there. And Maharaj knew. At that time, there was one sevak with Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj, just when that CID left. And Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj said to him, that Gursikh, that Tirmal dekho kinni log irkha kar deya. They say, Apa Guru ban gaye hain, like we've taken on what was destined for us, ਪਰ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦੀ ਈਰਖਾ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸਾਰ ਰਹੀ ਆ. That jealousy is burning them. This is what Maharaj said at that time. He didn't say anything else and just went quiet. Told the Sevadar to go, leave the room. And what happened? Shaheedi Masand returned with 25 men. They went into the asthan where Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj was. They started slapping and started being provoking the Gursikhs at that time. They went into the room where Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj was, and Shaheedi Masand shot Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj. When they shot the bullet at Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj's forehead, the bullet came and stopped in front of Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Matha and fell on the floor. It touched Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj's Matha, and as the bullet was revolving, it caused a little bit of blood that came on Maharaj's forehead, and it just fell on the floor. Can you imagine if you fire a bullet at someone, it goes through an individual, usually. But jiska sahib dada hoye, tisnu maar na sake koi. This is our Guru we're talking about. So Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj, they were like, nothing happened. They moved to the side, and Shaheedi Masand told his men, grab all the stuff. So all the money, the maya, everything that was there, they gathered it all and they took it. They robbed the house of Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj at that time. And as they were about to go, the most beerus thing happened. Out of everyone, Mata Nanaki Ji, who is Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji's mother, she came in and she saw what had happened. She saw her son, who was the 9th Guru, and she said, we have never, she shouted at Shaheedi Masand and all these men, she said, we have never come to your place and mathatate in your sanctuary. We've never invaded your privacy, yet you've come to the home of Guru Nanak because you will never be forgiven for what you've just done in the house. Guru Nanak Dev Ji will make you burn in your own way, you'll understand. She said it's so much biras bachan, one after the other, to Shaheedi Masand, and he left. He couldn't do anything. He didn't shoot, he couldn't do anything. He just left because the Bolia Mata Nanaki Ji was so brave. At that time, when Mata Nanaki Ji comes to Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj, she sees Maharaj's Mathan is bleeding, and she says, she's obviously distraught because it's her son, but he's the 9th Guru as well. And what does Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj say? This is Tegh Bahadur ke chalat. This is how Maharaj, Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj, are the greatest in Kaljug, what they did. They said, this is the words they said. They said, Inanu tanada lalachya. They said they've got greed over their bodies, right? But he goes, the true sacrifice, Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj says, the true sacrifice is done when the body is sacrificed. This is what Maharaj's words were that. Look how great Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj are. But this pangti here, this proves, har kasog parse je nahin so murat hai deva. Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj are saying this line that those people who are beyond sukh and dukh, they are the form of Vaheguru themselves, right? So murat hai deva. They are Vaheguru themselves because that's what they said. They said it themselves. They proved, they justify their own words, don't they? So in this way, Shaheedi Masand got the misfortune of being cursed by Guru Sahib's family in that way. And then Makhan Shah Labana comes with his 500 men, and then he does what he needs to do. We'll hear that in the next week and see what happens after that. Surga Nark agle baat hai.
Swarg Nark Amrit Bikh e Sab Teo Kanchan Ar Paisa.
Surga Narka. Some people will develop a thought, okay, I want heaven, I want paradise. Some people are scared of Narka, of hells. Amrit Bikh e. Some people spend the whole time just thinking about what is the nectar, like Amrit, what is true, what is giving ras in this world. And some people wonder all about poison all day long. That's that jithe tak khade hai, ithe tak hi khade hai. So they reflect up and down, up and down, up and down all the time. But Maharaj says, Teo kanchan ar paisa. But for a person who is in equilibrium, they're spiritual, they're focused, like Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj are, even though they've been, an attempt has been on their life, Maharaj says, ke e sab teo kanchan ar paisa. They're like, see gold and copper as the same thing. For them, it's immaterial, it doesn't mean anything. Like all these things that Maharaj has explained, like the fear of hell or the sukh of paradise, or what's amrit and what's poison and stuff like that. Maharaj is beyond all those different states. They are on a higher state possible. Then what's the praise, ninda, slander, Sam, they are one amongst that as well. So if somebody does ostity of them, doesn't affect them. If somebody does slander of them, doesn't affect them either. That's why Maharaj replied, Tir mal pala hove tera. That's why they said those things, because they are beyond it. They are showing their spiritual prowess, Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj, their literal spiritual prowess, their oneness. They are the form of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, after all. And they don't have no greed, they don't have no attachment. Then, dukh sukh e bade je nahin. In this world, Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj are teaching us that if somebody is stuck in dukh sukh, so either some people give them some pain, don't they? Some people get comfort from pain, don't they? When they have got like thoughts, or when they've got trapped emotions in their body and they've never released those emotions to an individual, they punish themselves. So some people are stuck with just that comfort of dukh. Dukh sukh e bade je nahin. And Maharaj says, true Gur Sikhs and the Guru himself are beyond that. They are beyond even the thought of dukh and sukh generally. So pain and happiness, comforts of this world, which everyone else is tied up in. The thoughts, those thoughts, which we are, if you think, reflect, we are tied up in those thoughts all the time, aren't we? We want to be happy naturally. We want to be sukhi, don't we? We want to be full of comfort. But Maharaj is saying, remember, the context was that in amongst all what you have got, just remember Vaheguru, make time for him. That's all. That's what Maharaj wants from us. And you. But Maharaj says the true Gyani, the true spiritual knower of God, the true God-conscious individual is the individual who understands this. It's not about asking for dukh or sukh. It's not asking about mukti, I want heaven or this like that. It's being present and remembering Akal Pur Vaheguru at all times. Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj says, understand that those people are truly liberated in this day and age. So, Jes Bandin Ko Jo Prani, Ehe Bid Ko Jo Prani. Those people who know this method, they're the ones who are truly God conscious. Now, practically, just think this week. What good news did we get this week? If we got good news this week, then put the praise to Vaheguru, do the shukrana of Vaheguru for that praise that you received. Now also think, who did the nindya of you this week? Who slandered you this week? Who said something negative to you this week? They all negativity jadiya, reverse it by thinking about what are 10 good things that person might have said or done for us in our life. And that's how it works. When that thing comes, when the sukh comes, when the dukh comes, that instant is what we've got to start thinking. How do I have gratitude? How do I show shukrana? Shukrana to Vaheguru and gratitude to Vaheguru. And use the example of Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj doing that to Tirmal. He's trying to assassinate Maharaj, and Maharaj keh rahe tera pala hove. Kinni baddi gall hai? Something to think about. Pair te nande chum. Jautan maar and mukiya, pair te nande chum. That's what Bhagat Farid Ji and Namla say. They say that if somebody is trying to fist you or trying to like batter you, punch you, at that time, pair te nande chum. Unande pair chummo pame. Like your response shouldn't be physically right, go and just kiss their feet. That's physically only certain individuals can do that. But it's talking about your response internally more than anything. Okay, theek hai, let it go. Pair te nande chum. Apne aap nu niva rakh lo. That's it. And Maharaj will see everything. Humility is the biggest khanda, isn't it? Humility is the biggest sword. The sword of Guru Nanak Dev Ji is humility. And Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj explained in the 8th Shabd in Gauri Rag. When Maharaj is getting a bit closer to ourselves and how we can make it a bit more easy, make it a bit more focused on our minds. Manre, oh my mind, instruct ourselves. What are we trying to instruct ourselves? Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj says, Kaha pe hota hai bora. So what are you doing, you mad person? Are you crazy? So instruct yourself in that way. So you're sitting there trying to remember Vaheguru and you know something distracting is coming your way. Instruct yourself by telling the mind, sort yourself out, mate. Because your mind isn't your mitr. Your mind, your thoughts aren't your friends, really. They're just thoughts, aren't they? They could be the reaction of the food that you've eaten. They could be the reaction of what you've experienced in the past. But they aren't you as an individual. So Guru Sahib was saying there, okay, be a bit kathor, be a bit strong, and tell your mind, manre, kaha pe hota hai bora? What are you doing, you mad person?
ਅਹਨਿਸ ਔਦ ਕਟੈ ਨਹੀਂ ਜਾਣੈ ਪਾਇਓ ਲੋਭ ਸੰਗ ਹੋਰਾ
And they said, instruct yourself with this. Ehnis aud kata nahi janna. They say, tell your mind that can't you see that day and night are just going by? Like day and night are going by, going by, going by. You're wasting your time. Stop wasting your time. Instruct yourself, stop wasting your time. That's what Maharaj, Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj are telling us to do. Stop wasting our time. Stop wasting your precious time where you could be doing remembering Vaheguru, but you're not remembering Vaheguru. Ehnis aud kata, aud means age. Your age is also going by. Kata nahi. And then Maharaj says, Payo lob sang hora, and you're actually getting lighter. You know, some people spend time building mass or muscle on their body. They spend time building mass for themselves, don't they? कि मैं अपने आप को बढ़ावां, मैं अपने आप को stronger बनावां. Maharaj is saying here, you're making yourself hollow, actually. What Maharaj is trying to say to us here, instead of pampering ourselves and filling ourselves and our bodies and such, Maharaj says that you're actually making yourself hollow, because spiritually you could be doing something else at that time. Spiritually you could spend more time doing Vaheguru. They apne aap nu hollow na banao, hora na banao, apne aap nu para karo. In the eyes of Guru Sahib, to make yourself heavy and make yourself strong and stable, you have to do bhajan. Every other thing is hollowness. Guru Sahib is saying, reflect on that. This is the reflection that we've got to make. It's such a difficult thing. Let's repeat it to ourselves again. Just to think, just so we get the message. The message Maharaj is saying is, be a bit stronger and stricter on your mind, and tell yourself that every other action is hollow. Tell yourself that time is being wasted and your age is going by, and you need to focus on Vaheguru. And it says ehnis. Ehnis means hun raat aan lagi hai na. That means din ta chale gaya, hun nearly hun raat aan lagi, hun raat na waste kariye. That's the next thing, isn't it? Night is next, isn't it? So night's next. What we're going to do tonight to remember Vaheguru? What we're going to do? That's what we've got to think. That's what Maharaj wants us to think on a regular basis. This body that you think is yours and belongs to you, and the wife that you've married who you consider to be beautiful in your home, and vice versa, you can say your husband or your partner is handsome. You might think that and be distracted by that thought. These things are not yours. They don't belong to you. Even this body doesn't belong to you. You know, you'll get to a certain age in this world. Some of the older people in the Sangat might be able to tell us this. But you might start realizing that jada sareer apna sade vas to bahar nikal janda hai. Like it starts doing things on its own, which you might start, getting diseased or might get ill or whatever, and you're not in control over these things anymore. You don't feel in control over these things anymore. Fir apan hor paao sikhde hain that we try to do things to bring it back under our vas again. And Maharaj says, but this whole body is not in your control. Inu tak karke samjh lo permanently. The body is not under your control. You can't do anything to affect it. It's going to do only what it's going to do. It doesn't mean there that you don't do things to keep yourself healthy. It's talking about those individuals who are just infatuated with their own bodies and not remembering Vaheguru. So Maharaj says, "Una nu kya ki tusi bhajan bandagi karo, because this body isn't yours."
Dekho, soch bichari.
And dekho, read the text. Any text that you are reading, read the spiritual text and understand that the body is immaterial. You can't control it. Ye tere vascha vich nahi hegi. And dekho, soch, and when you spend time reflecting without reading, when you're just sitting in your own, reflect ke jara sareer hai tera nahi hai. Your wife, your partner, ye teri nahi hai. Your husband, ye tera nahi hai. They don't belong to you. They are not yours. Sometimes it might be Maharaj is trying to lift the attachment out of us. Sometimes aapa kei bari sochde hain meri ghar wali kidda sochugi oh mera ghar wala kidda. We in that fikr all the time, don't we? But Maharaj is the one who's going to be giving everything to everyone. Oh fikr nu uthal diye kad diye and focus on bhajan of Akal Purv Vaheguru. Jyada fikr hai Chaupi Sahib kar lo na vaste. Iddain hi kar lo, Bani par lo na vaste. That's even better. That's the best thing, isn't it? This jewel of a janam you received, you are losing it. Guru Tegh Bahadur Maharaj say. But the Govind, the method to achieve Vaheguru, to remember Vaheguru, which Maharaj explained in the first shabd, to sit and do bhajan of Vaheguru, oh apa vichar nahi kiti. We haven't even thought about that. We haven't even spent time. We don't even know it, that method.
ਨਿਮਖ ਨਾ ਲੀਨ ਪਾਇਓ ਚਰਨਨ ਸਿਉ
Ek nimak vaste. Nimak is the time period, and that time period is the time that it takes to wink your eye. So when we close our eyes, shut eye, and we're just winking, that summa, that little millimeter that we have is called a nimak. And Maharaj says, not even for a nimak, na leen pe or charnan se, not even for a nimak, not even the time that you spent winking, have you spent doing Vaheguru. Cost more that time, Maharaj is saying. So this is for those individuals who don't remember Vaheguru at all. ਜਿਹੜੇ ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੋਚਦੇ ਪਰਮੇਸ਼ਰ ਦਾ ਬਾਰੇ ਹਾਂਜੀ
ਬਿਰਥਾ ਆਉਦੇ ਸਿਰਾਨੀ
ਤੇ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਲਾਈਫ ਆ ਬਿਰਥਾ ਹੀ ਜਾ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ is going worthlessly Maharaj saying your age is just going without anything
ਕਹੋ ਨਾਨਕ ਸੋਈ ਨਰ ਸੁਖੀਆ
but the true sukhi, the true comfort person in this world, the true person, the only person who's finding true comfort in this world in the eyes of Guruji are
ਰਾਮ ਨਾਮ ਗੁਣ ਗਾਵੇ
ਜਿਹੜੇ ਪਰਮੇਸ਼ਰ ਦਾ ਰਾਮ ਦਾ ਨਾਮ ਗੁਣ ਗਾਉਂਦੇ ਆ they sing praises of Akalpur Vaheguru.
ਔਰ ਸਗਲ ਜਗ ਮਾਇਆ ਮੋਹਿਆ
All the rest of the world is attached to the illusion. They're distracted by that duality.
ਨਿਰਭੈ ਪਦ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਾਵੇ
Just like Tirmal was distracted by jealousy and stuff like that, and they didn't develop the true fearless level. Maharaj is saying, Nirbhay pad nahi paave. They never got to that highest spiritual level where there's no fear, there's no dar. Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj sat there knowing, sent the sevak out. They knew that they were going to get shot at that day. They knew what was going to happen. But they sat there. They could have run, but they didn't. They sat there. The bullet came, touched Maharaj's head and fell in front of them. And Jiddan Tir Malnan Hunda and their Pravar afterwards, we'll find out in the next few weeks. The next week, let's focus our minds and focus in the Charan of Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj. All of Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj's Bani's Katha we're going to attempt. If Guru Sahib blesses with that ability, we're going to be discussing the final Shabd of Gauri Rag written by Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji next week. And then we'll move on to the other Bani of Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji and other Rags. Pulna Chukandi Khema Bakshni Ji, please forgive my mistakes. Do ardas for us that whatever we say in front of the Sangat in the Katha, that we also actually act on that. Because we're all on family. Apa sara ek parvar hain. And Gursikh parvar should be full of compassion and daya for each other. Even if you don't like that individual, you still have that assis in the company of Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji. Look, Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji kinni assis de rahe pala hove tir mal tera. We should do the same. So I ask for that blessing, that we also be able to follow what we say in Sangat. Pulna Chukandi Khema Bakshni Ji. आखिरी पंक्ति पढ़ के समाप्ति है जी।
कहो नानक सोई
नर सुखिया राम नाम गुण गावे और सगल जग माया मोहिया निरभै पद नहीं पावे। वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह।